booking their ticket to the DFB Pokal semi-finals. Bayern Munchen travel to the finals, host City. Today, though, the focus on Frauen-Bundesliga affairs as they look to keep their title defence on course against Erster FC Koln. Can Bayern edge closer to a fourth straight Meisterschale, or can Koln take points off of them for the first time in club history? It's the Cologne Cathedral against Munich's Frauenkirche. The Billy Goats versus the Bavarian Giants. League leaders against one of the most improved sides this season. James Thorogood, your match commentator for this matchday 20 clash in the Cathedral City. Koln, a side who have transformed from relegation fodder to top half of the table challengers in what is already a record-breaking season. But since they broke their single-season points record, they have gone winless in 4. The advantage of not being in cup action on Wednesday is slight at best as the Franz Kremer Stadion opens its doors to the reigning champions. Bayern 14 points clear at the top of the Frauen-Bundesliga. They're into the quarter-finals of the Women's Champions League and through to the Final 4 in the DFB Pokal. Their first season under Jose Barkala could not be going any better. But they need to be at their best once again as they take on Koln on foreign soil. For Koln, this is their first piece of action since the international break. For the visit of Bayern, head coach Britta Karlsson has switched her system to a 5-3-2 formation. Amelie Bornen is drafted in as an extra centre-back, while Laura Dornhauser gets the nod at left-back. Further up the pitch, Paulina Bremer makes her first start since the turn of the year. The former Germany international scored in back-to-back games before the international break, but both games ending in defeat for Koln. Angelika Söder, our referee for this intense clash, or what is sure to be, at the Franz Kremer Stadion. As for the visitors Bayern, Jose Barkala freshening up his side in 4 positions following the 3-0 win over Hamburg in the DFB Pokal quarter-finals in midweek. 3 changes come in the back line as Julia Gwynn, Vanessa Gilles and Franziska Kett drop to the bench to be replaced by Glodis Vigorstotir, Magdalena Eriksson and Caroline Simon. The only other change sees Ivorian midfielder Bernadette Amani make her first start for Bayern since joining from Tenerife during the winter break. With Edna Imade the player to make way for Amani, Pernilla Harder shifts into the lone striker role. With the Koln anthem, Mir stehen zu dir, we stand by you, ringing out in the background. Koln gearing up for a meeting with the league leaders. A reverse fixture earlier this season, ending in a 5-1 win for Bayern, though Koln did lead for a long portion of that match. 15 previous league meetings, Koln have never managed to take a single point off of Bayern. Jose Barkala, a head coach who has called for his charges to acquit themselves in the manner of Champions League winners at all times, and so far, so good this season. Few bumps in the road. For Britta Karlsson, her side winless in 4 since breaking their single-season club points record. Tough task to get back to winning ways here against the Bavarians. But it's glorious conditions on this Sunday evening for a game of football. What do the next 90 minutes have in store? Fresh from booking their ticket to the DFB Pokal Final 4, Bayern Munchen look to keep their Google Pixel Frauen-Bundesliga title charge on course in the Cathedral City against 1. FC Koln. James Thorogood on the mic. Delighted to have the pleasure of your company on this Sunday evening. The sun setting in Cologne. And already you get an indication of the ambitious high press that Koln will look to employ here this evening. It's a big risk to take against Bayern, because if they break the lines, then they can really tap into the peak of their potential. But Jose Barkler, the Bayern head coach, talking about the fact that Koln will definitely challenge his side. Described them as one of the best teams in the Frauen Bundesliga when it came to pressing and intensity. That's why Bayern are taking this challenge very seriously in the Cathedral City, and Mahmutovic's long balls might be key in evading the home side's press. Three of the 4 changes in Bayern's lineup this evening coming in the back line. A lot of experience added by Jose Barkler. It looks like there's a group of wasps that are taking in today's game as well. Arguably, they've got some of the best views in the house, but I just wonder whether that might prove problematic further on later in this game. Maybe they've got a hive somewhere at the Franz Kremer Stadion. Season ticket holders. Searching ball forward. Dealt with by Glorious Vikorstotich. Britta Karlsson has talked about her pride of the development her side have undergone this season, describing them as more mature and independent. Believes they've played with more conviction in the current campaign, and when Britta Karlsson took over, they were a side very much in the relegation mix, 1. FC Koln. Many thought that might be the case again this season, but some wonderful business during the summer, bringing in some valued experience in all areas of the pitch, has served them very well. Paulina Bremer, one of those players back in the starting lineup, as one of 3 changes for the Cathedral City side. She joins Sandra Maria Jessen, who's another. Jessen, the top goal scorer this season with 9. She scored the opener in the 5th minute when these sides met, back on match day 7. Koln, on that occasion, looked set to take a narrow lead in at the break, but that was before Momoko Tanikawa scored in the 7th minute of first half injury time. And that was a real gut punch to Koln, and from there Bayern really forced the issue in the second half. Magdalena Eriksson, Georgia Stanway, Stina Balizaya and Pernilla Harder getting the other goals. Bayern in the Frauen Bundesliga have only trailed for a total of 118 minutes this season. It's a remarkable statistic. And Koln technically led for 40 minutes of those 118. A rare feat, but unfortunately they had nothing to show for it at the end of that game. That's well won by Zawistovska, the woman who made the switch from Bayern to Koln this summer. Amani, oh, that was a vital touch. Had to win the 50-50. Degen definitely got there second. The Ivorian national team captain, Bernadette Amani. The only player that Bayern signed during the winter break, but one of two new recruits on the books because Edna Imade was signed in the summer, sent on loan to Real Sociedad, but was brought back to the club early in the winter break after Lea Schuler left to join Manchester United, the team that Bayern will face in the quarterfinals of the Women's Champions League, first leg of which is on the 1st of April, an early reunion with Lea Schuler. And I wonder, with the Allianz Arena opening its doors, it's not common to necessarily recognise an opposing player, but Lea Schuler never got a send-off for Bayern. I just wonder whether the club might take the opportunity on April 1st to show their recognition for a player who gave so much to the Bayern cause. Second in their all-time goal-scoring chance in the Frauen Bundesliga, second only to Nina Eigner. A few Mia San Mia scarves on display. Smattering of fans that have made the trip up from the Bavarian capital to the cathedral city. A shorter trip than the one they took to the port city in midweek to face Hamburg, a 3-0 win, booking their ticket to the DFB Pokal Final Four, where they will meet Essen on home soil. That corner too close to Mahmutovic, who happily collects. Caruso looking to turn, this time Dagan with a nice bit of front foot defending. Took a chunk of the woman, but also got the ball. That's certainly an element of Köln's performance with this intense press. They want to let Bayern know they're there. They'll be snapping at the heels. Caruso has a quick word with Angelika Söder, the referee, to say a bit more protection. Wouldn't go amiss, but Bayern have to be ready for the fact that Köln are going to take the fight to them this evening. Comes through to Amani, wins out against Vogt, tries to squeeze it through to Pernilla Harder. In the end, Irina Fuchs putting it out of play. Harder to Dunst. Laura Feiersinger establishing herself in midfield, fresh from signing a contract extension with the club. She was a recruit at the start of last season. Believed in the Koln project. It's a nice play by Harder to find Daumann. To Dunst, wriggles through 5 in red and white to find a ball to Balisaya. Back to Dunst. Darting run from Dunst. Stanway to Dunst. Bundled over, Dunst. Again, 2 for company. This time, Dornhauser is able to take the ball off of her. Vara Dunst, the beneficiary of an injury to Clara Boo that kept her out of action for the German national team during the break. Kept her out of the cup game and tonight's encounter in the Cathedral City, a muscular injury. No indication as to how long she'll be out for. Dunst had a long spell on the sidelines with a knee injury of her own. Now getting a run of games in the starting lineup, and a player that certainly capable of making an impact on any game she features in. But with chances limited with Bayern so far for Dunst, this is a real opportunity for her to stake a claim 4 more minutes moving forward. Bayern plead the case that there was a foul on Nilla Harder at the other end that didn't get given. In the end, it was an offside call against Pauline Bremer. Minutes played, Bayern dominating the ball, but as of yet, neither side with a shot on goal. Koln right now keeping Bayern in check. As a result, Bayern resorting to ambitious but ultimately errant passes from Claudius Vigorstutich, back with the captain's armband today. Seems to be a facet of Jose Barcala's approach in his debut season, is to keep rotating things in those centre-back roles, and he's got some wonderful options at his disposal with Vigorstutich, Eriksson, Gilles and Balizaya. Ultimately trying to keep everyone fresh. Something tells me if it came down to a first-choice pairing, it still would be Claudius Vigorstutich and Magdalena Eriksson. The Champions League campaign in mind. Bayern ultimately want to keep themselves in rhythm, want to maintain momentum and performance levels. Firmly on course to defend their domestic double. Drawn on home soil against Essen in the DFB Pokal semi-finals. Karlsruhe Jena facing Wolfsburg in the other. A clear distribution of underdogs and favourites there. Right now we've lost track of a ball here at the Franz Kremer Stadion, and yeah, for a game of football, that's a rather vital element of all. It was Werder Bremen that Bayern beat in the final in Cologne last season. Essen the team to beat Bremen, a bit of an upset, a 1-0 win for Essen. Their reward was a trip to Munich. They might have wanted to avoid them and maybe hoped to have drawn Jena so that they could maybe even feature in the final. Rather fascinating that we've got the Frauen Bundesliga's top 2 facing off against the Frauen Bundesliga's bottom 2 in the final 4 of that particular competition. But you wouldn't say no to a Bayern-Wolfsburg final in the Cathedral City in May. Will Bayern defend their domestic double? Can Wolfsburg bite back after losing the DFB Pokal title for the first time in 11 seasons in the previous campaign? Shouldn't get ahead of ourselves, because that is the type of competition that can still produce an upset in the final 4, and Bayern will be wary of not falling foul of Essen in the same way Wolfsburg will be wary of not falling foul of Karlsruhe Jena. Karlsruhe Jena, incidentally, the only team this season to take points off of Bayern in the Frauen Bundesliga. It was a 0-0 draw at the Bayern campus in the first half of the season. Bayern racking up over 30 shots on goal in that game, but no goals. Karlsruhe Jena surviving the ordeal, so to say. Right now, quarter of an hour played. And Koln giving a very good account of themselves, making life very challenging for Bayern. Maybe a chance now for them. Yes, oh, Jessen needed a better ball from Bremen. If anything, Bremen probably could have taken the shot on herself. The woman who scored in back-to-back games before the international break should not be short of confidence. Bayern backline backed off. Jessen made the run to fashion more space. Those are the types of opportunities with Bayern's backline stretched. Can't have to capitalise on. Vucevic's long ball finds Harder. Ooh. Harder going all-woman, no ball in that challenge. Taking exception to some of the treatment she's received so far this evening, the Dane. That will always get you in trouble with a referee. There's a good chance some of the Bayern fans that were up in the Rhine region will have stayed in Koln overnight after seeing the men's team play out a 1-1 draw with Bayer Leverkusen, who are just down the road from the cathedral city. Nice little double header. Chance to get behind both title-chasing sides. Bayern have so long been the dominant force in the men's game, and now they have usurped Wolfsburg in the women's game as well. And difficult to see them relinquishing that status anytime soon. Though there is clearly going to be a bit of upheaval this summer. Georgia Stanway set to leave the club already. The type of thing that might send shockwaves through the club. Though, let's be honest, Bayern's midfield department is absolutely stacked. Difficulty right now is that Zara Satazil and Lena Oberdorf are both out with long-term knee injuries. That's ultimately why Bernadette Amani was brought in to provide reinforcements. Here is Georgia Stanway. Momoko Tanikawa, another of the midfield options, unavailable right now because she's representing Japan at the Women's Asia Cup. Stunning season. Japanese international. 8 goals in 18 games in the league. Jose Barcola. Yet to see his side really flex their attacking muscles. And not often we've said that this season. Bayern, a team that have been scoring goals for fun. 71 across the 19 match days before this evening. 17 in their 4 games in 2026. Only 2 teams so far this season have prevented Bayern from scoring 2 or more goals. The first was, of course, Karl Zeiss Jena, the team that picked up that 0-0 draw in Munich. The other, Barcelona. An embarrassing 7-1 defeat for Bayern on that occasion. One they responded to in kind. And now the chance, they've broken the lines. Pernille Harder. 1-on-1 with Irina Fuchs. And Pernille Harder was always the favourite. 20 minutes played. Bayern dominant, but have been forced to be patient, and now they strike with their first shot of the game. Pernille Harder with her 11th goal in her last 12 league outings. A run of form that started with a goal against Koln. The home side punished for a high line. And from there, Pernille Harder always looked likely to get her 11th league goal of the season. Bayern patient, but find a way to punish. What a clinical touch for one of the greatest strikers we've ever seen grace the Frauen Bundesliga. For Koln, all their hard work in the first 20 minutes undone in the blink of an eye. But when you play a high line, and Bayern have the quality of passers in their ranks that they do, it was a very risky approach to take. It's one that has come back to bite Koln, but they will now look to bite back in their own way. Eriksson had to act. Alizaya completes the clearance. Bremen with the flick on. Stanway. An unwise touch in the box there. And an awkward bounce, but it's through to Mahmutovic. Positive response, though, from Koln to falling behind, as we've now got a player down for Bayern. It's Bernadette Amani. Checking she's got all her teeth, checking that there's no blood coming out of her nose. Yeah, just taking the ball to the face there, Bernadette Amani, enough to bring a tear to the eye. Here we see the goal again. Georgia Stanway. Bit of a hit and hope pass, but she spotted the space. Harder exploited it. And the goal scorer of her quality, you'd back every time in a one-on-one situation like that. Slow start to the season after coming into the campaign carrying an injury. But since scoring the 5th goal for Bayern and a 5-1 win against Koln in the reverse fixture, she has been at her goal-scoring best once again. And today it's 11 goals now in her last 12 league outings. I think Armani is going to be able to continue. Making her first start for Bayern. She wouldn't want to be forced off the pitch. So important that Koln get a foothold in that midfield battle. They're doing well to do that so far. Sevistovska just trying to turn the corner on Simon. Bremen with the press, and Simon does well just to find the outlet pass, but Eriksson lingering on the ball a touch too long there, recognising the fact she has to get rid earlier. Oh, that was a nasty blow to the back of the head from Eriksson on Bremen. Had every right to challenge for the ball. The Swedish centre-back really left one in there on Bremen, in a very vulnerable area as well, the back of the head. Britta Karlsson's side have defended so well to limit Bayern to just one shot on goal, but that one shot is the difference between the two teams right now. Meanwhile, Koln yet to muster up an effort, and truth be told, struggling to penetrate into the final third at all. But that is ultimately what can be the grueling experience of a game against Bayern Munchen. Almost every opponent they face in the Frauen Bundesliga have to play above their limits, essentially, to stand a chance of taking points off the three-time defending champions. Dahlmann getting past Sara Egrech. Now Dahlmann bursting into space, finds a lovely ball to Harder for her second. Pernilla Harder! Well, Bayern are finding their clinical touch in the cathedral city, courtesy of Pernilla Harder. 2 shots, 2 goals. She bags her brace. That's 12 in 12 now in the Frauen Bundesliga. A goal scorer supreme. You cannot afford to give her that time and space to pick her spot, because she will always punish. So cool, so calm, so collected. Bottom corner goes the strike. Just before the half-hour mark, Bayern double their advantage. That's 55 goals now for Bayern in all competitions, in 86 appearances for Pernilla Harder. So I think that will count as Köln's first shot of the game from Sandra Maria Jessen. Feels like a bit of a stretch, but something tells me the statisticians will stretch that far. Harder now with 12 goals this season, 2 shy of her total from the previous campaign. And that with a few games to spare. Albeit this being a season where we will get 4 extra fixtures on account of the expansion to 14 teams from 12. Bayern now have the bit between their teeth. Linda Dahlmann, 2 in the middle to aim for. Dahlmann might go this alone. A twist, a turn, Linda Dahlmann! Denied by Irina Fuchs. Now the first shot that Bayern have missed tonight, but Pernille Harder on for a hat-trick already. Can't bend the ball around Selina Degen. She gets another before half-time, it would be classified as a Lupenreiner hat-trick, as they call it here in Germany. It's a lot more difficult to score than a regular hat-trick, because it has to be scored in one half of football uninterrupted. It's delightful from Dahlmann. Didn't quite have the finish to cap it all off. Marnie to Stanway. Dunst in a lot of space out wide. Just clipping it in, looking for the run of Caruso. It was a nice idea. Just didn't quite pull it off. As the chant goes, Ein Schuss, ein Tor die Bayern. That was exactly how this game started. They are having to work hard for their goal-scoring opportunities, but they've taken 2 of 3 already. The title holders. Mutovic almost got herself into a bit of trouble there, but gets away with it in the end. Hop, hop, the call from Jose Barkley. He's obviously picked up a bit of Bavarian slang on the sidelines, urging his side to apply the press. Can't give Koln any time on the ball. Barker saying that tonight's challenge was about finding ways for his side to control the game, then work their way into the final third, and then be clinical. Exactly how it's played out so far. Oh, they've overloaded on this left-hand side now. Dunst, Simon and Harder inside her. The pass behind both of them, though. Vogt wasn't helped there by the ball from Feiersinger, and as a result, her pass on the stretch goes astray. Dunst challenging Gerhardt. Here we see Mahmutovic's clearance. Could have pinged anywhere off of Sandra Maria Jesnor, fallen kindly for the Koln striker. Oh, now Harder tricked inside the box, question mark. She has a wry smile on her face as any appeals fall on deaf ears. Look there at the match statistics so far. Really is all about the clinical touch from Bayern so far tonight. Now looking for another. Dunst found by Dahlmann on the turn. Simon outside. Stanway gets in her way. Koln keeping things tight at the back as best they can, but Bayern's players can't then afford to stand on each other's toes. Stanway might open up for a shot. Shut down in the end by Rtver. Daumann dancing past Feiersinger. Oh, that looked like a handball from Zawistowska and penalised as such. The arm was down by her side, but I think that's fair to give. Zawistowska, who spent a couple of years on the books with Bayern, only made 13 appearances, scoring once in that time. A goal last season in a 2-2 draw against Freiburg, where she scored in the 91st minute to level the scores. While on the books with Bayern, she had a 2-year loan spell with Koln and now returns to the Cathedral City. Simon teasing in the free kick, and Harder met it well, but couldn't keep the header down. Daumann's on the run, working the channels. Linda Daumann! Bayern are putting Koln to the sword in this first half, as Daumann gets in on the goal-scoring act. Not to be denied twice by Irina Fuchs. Daumann gets her 6th goal of the season. And Bayern have already fashioned a very comfortable lead long before half-time at the Franz Kremer Stadion, looking to keep their title charge on course. And they are firmly on course for all 3 points once again. That goal by Linda Daumann, it's also worth noting, is the 100th goal Bayern have scored in all competitions this season. For Harder, it means that she won't get the Lupen-Reiner hat-trick, given the fact that Daumann has now interrupted her efforts, but the chance at a regular hat-trick still remains. Hasn't gotten one so far this season. Got 3 in the previous campaign in all competitions. 1 in the league, a 5-1 win against Hoffenheim, another in a 3-2 win against Hoffenheim in the Cup, where Bayern were 2-0 down. And I think on that occasion she did score a Lupen-Reiner hat-trick in the second half. There was another against Arsenal in the opening group game of the Champions League that season. This evening could be her first in the current campaign. so much confidence now in this Bayern performance, because Koln, while they have shown great endeavour, they really haven't done enough to keep Bayern quiet. ...74 goals now in the Frauen Bundesliga this season, to go along with 14 in the Women's Champions League, 8 in the DFB Pokal and 4 in the Super Cup. 100 up for Bayern in the goal-scoring department this season. Koln looking for an act of defiance in this first half. Starved of goal-scoring opportunities, and the one shot that they have on the statistics sheet was rather generously awarded for a half-cross, half-shot from Sandra Maria Jessen that sliced behind for a goal kick. Bayern showing off their quality. And Koln not doing enough to close the gulf. And after today, 6 games remaining for both of these sides in the 25-26 season. For Koln, their campaign has arguably run its course already. They've broken the club record for most points picked up in a single season. 3 points clear of the 22 they picked up in the 21-22 campaign. Difficulty for them is that since breaking that record, they are now set to go winless in 5. Simon to Harder. The chance of the hat-trick just didn't open up on that occasion for Pernilla Harder. So often a match winner, Pernilla Harder, and again stepping up to the plate in that regard. A woman who was one of a number of Bayern players who signed contract extensions during the winter months. Bayern putting the pieces in place for next season. Yes, confirmation that they're set to lose Georgia Stanway as a free agent, which is a bit of a blow not to at least get some money back on that deal, but I think it's fair to say that Stanway paid off her price tag without question in the years spent with Bayern. 3 minutes of time added on at the end of this first half, 1 for each goal Bayern have scored. Is there one more goal left in it for Bayern? Daumann, nice 1-2. Daumann! Oh! Well, penalty appeals waved away there by Angelika Zerder. Daumann certainly seemed impaired in her attempts to get the shot off, with Zara Agrec going to ground. The Slovenian centre-back who was part of the team that faced Germany in the World Cup qualifiers during the international break. I think on another occasion, the referee might have been tempted to point to the spot. Harder, backing down. Amelie Bornen, brought in as part of the defensive reinforcements, but despite adding an extra woman to that back line, Britta Karlsson's side have been pulled apart by the Bavarians. Not often, but when they have pulled them apart, it has almost always produced a clear-cut opportunity for the league leaders. Always a dangerous game to play. Ina Mahmutovic has had absolutely nothing to do. That is the life of a goalkeeper for Bayern. Bigger tests for her will come in bigger competitions, chiefly in the Champions League. Bayern, the Frauen Bundesliga leaders, finding their clinical touch in the Cathedral City. Koln have limited their goal-scoring opportunities, but Pernilla Harder opened the scoring with a quick-fire brace. Linda Dahlmann got in on the act, and Bayern lead 3-0 against Koln at half-time.
einmal zwischen dem ersten und dem zweiten Aufsteller und zwischen dem zweiten und dem dritten Aufsteller. Der vordere ist Zielbereich 1, der hintere ist Zielbereich 2. Und jetzt gleich geht es darum, dass die drei mit ihren verschiedenfarbigen Bällen, damit wir es unterscheiden können, einmal versuchen in der ersten Runde, wir spielen 2 Runden, in der ersten Runde in den ersten Zielbereich zu kommen und in der zweiten Runde in den zweiten Zielbereich. In der ersten Runde sollten alle drei es da rein schaffen zu treffen, machen wir ein Stechen. Und in der zweiten Runde sollten da auch es beide schaffen. Schauen wir mal, wie wir damit umgehen, aber das schaffen wir. Und ich würde sagen, wir fangen einmal, wir machen heute mal nicht Ladies First, weil wir hier mehr Frauen als Männer haben. Also darfst du einmal anfangen und einmal versuchen, in den ersten Zielbereich bitte zu schießen. Das ist zwischen der Reißwassertuchmaske und dem Toten Bär, der Schlangenmaske. Und ich kann vielleicht um ein bisschen Spannung für Thomas bitten. Müsst ihr einmal so ein bisschen machen? Ja, das ist mäßig, Leute, das können wir besser. So, schauen wir mal, der darf nicht zu weit rollen. Der muss im... Ne, gut, der ist zu weit, glaube ich. Thomas, das sieht nicht so gut aus. Dann darf ich dich, liebe Birgit, einmal bitten. Du darfst auch schießen. Wichtig, es muss zwischen der ersten und der zweiten Maske landen. Damit einen Applaus für Birgit. Und er ist auch relativ schnell, aber es sieht besser aus bisher. Und das sieht gut aus, liebe Birgit. Der liegt im ersten Zielbereich. Damit haben wir unsere erste Finalistin. Einen Applaus bitte für Birgit und damit Johanna, du darfst. Und jetzt schauen wir mal. Oh, der kommt relativ schnell an. Okay. Der ist auch durch in Zielbereich 2. Da musste aber in Zielbereich 1 liegen bleiben. Das heißt, du, liebe Birgit, bist schon einmal in Runde 2 und die anderen beiden macht jetzt nochmal ein Stechen. Bitte nochmal versuchen, in den ersten Zielbereich zu treffen, Johanna und Thomas. Du darfst, Thomas. Der sieht gut aus, der kommt langsam angerollt. Der ist schon mal im ersten Zielbereich, jetzt darf er nicht drüber rollen. Und ja, ui, ja, das sieht noch gut aus. Jetzt schauen wir mal, Johanna, wenn du auch triffst. Oh, also ich würde ja sagen, du hast Ziel hinausgeschossen, aber nicht ganz, liebe Johanna. Damit hast du den, jetzt überlege ich gerade, dritten Platz schon mal sicherer von 3. Also einen Applaus bitte für Johanna und die anderen beiden seid im Finale. Und dann dürft ihr anderen beiden schon mal wieder euren Ball bereitlegen für Zielbereich 2. Das geht jetzt ein Stück weiter. Wichtig ist wieder, der muss im zweiten Zielbereich liegen bleiben, also nicht drüber hinaus. Thomas, du darfst. Der kommt gut angerollt. Jetzt mache ich hier mal... Einmal die Linienrichterin. Uiuiuiui. Okay, dann ist eine Zentimeter-Sache. Du bist drin. Alles gut, Thomas, du bist drin. Aber Zentimeter-Sache. Und jetzt darfst du, liebe Birgit, es wird spannend. Ich mache hier weiter die Linienrichterin. Auch geil. Einmal Jobwechsel. Wir schauen mal. Das sieht auch gut aus. Okay, wir schießen die Bälle zurück. Wir machen Stechen. Sollten jetzt wieder beide treffen. Dann gibt es 2 Gewinner, höre ich gerade. Also, jetzt besonders anstrengend, wir haben quasi eine doppelte Chance. Thomas, du darfst. Der kommt ganz gut angerollt. Rollt weiter. Muss ich zumindest schon mal nicht so laufen wie eben, heißt, der dürfte früher stoppen. Und er liegt perfekt mittig drin. Thomas, das ist ein Applaus, damit hast du auf jeden Fall einen ersten Platz sicher. Liebe Birgit, das ist deine Chance nachzuziehen, ansonsten ist es mindestens Platz 2 für dich. Und er sieht auch gut aus. Birgit, damit haben wir einen zweiten Gewinner, eine zweite Gewinnerin. Einen Applaus bitte für Thomas und Birgit und vielen lieben Dank an Schäbens, unseren Partner des Tages. Die Gewinne sind vorne, bekommt ihr da überreicht. Vielen Dank euch fürs Mitmachen und vielen lieben Dank an Schäbens. Zeit für einen ganzen Song. Ich mache direkt weiter. Liebe FC-Fans, wir als 1. FC Köln möchten diese Halbzeitpause nutzen, nicht nur um Maskenschießen zu machen, sondern für eine ganz, ganz tolle Sache zu werben. Die Olympischen Spiele in der, jetzt muss ich mich an den an der Wortwahl meines Kollegen bedienen, in der schönsten Stadt Deutschlands, wie Michael sagen würde. Wir als Verein unterstützen die Bewerbung Köln-Rhein-Ruhr mit unserer Stadt als Leading City für die Olympischen Spiele und die Paralympischen Spiele. Für Köln und die gesamte Region wäre das eine riesige, riesige Chance, sich einmal mehr als starke Sportregion zu präsentieren, die wir nun einmal sind. Im Falle einer erfolgreichen Bewerbung könnten die Spiele 36, 40 oder 44 in insgesamt 17 Kommunen der Rhein-Ruhr-Region stattfinden. In Köln leben Menschen, die für den Sport brennen, die weltoffen sind und die Vielfalt leben. Beste Voraussetzungen eigentlich für ein großartiges Sporterlebnis bei uns in der Region. Gleichzeitig wäre die Austragung aber auch eine Chance für die Entwicklung bei uns in der Stadt. Für unsere Infrastruktur, für den Sport in unserer Stadt Köln und weit darüber hinaus. Sowohl im Breiten- als auch im Spitzensport. Auch wir als FC stehen für genau diese Werte. Gemeinschaft, Zusammenhalt und Leidenschaft für den Sport. Da sieht man jeden Tag bei uns am Geisbockheim, wo alle unsere Teams vom Nachwuchs bis zu den männlichen und weiblichen Profis gemeinsam trainieren und Teil einer großen FC-Familie sind. Und weil uns Inklusion besonders am Herzen liegt, wäre auch die Ausrichtung dieser Paralympischen und Olympischen Spiele für uns eine ganz, ganz besondere Herzensangelegenheit. Darum sagen wir als erster FC Köln ganz klar, wir unterstützen die Bewerbung für Olympia in unserer Region, für den Sport, für Köln und für die Menschen hier. Die Briefwahlunterlagen, die kommen die Tage bei euch in die Briefkästen geflattert und alle Kölnerinnen und Kölner dürfen wählen. Also lasst uns bis zum 19. April alle für Köln als Standort der Olympischen Spiele stehen. Und jetzt freue ich mich ganz besonders, zwei ganz besondere Gäste bei mir begrüßen zu dürfen. Einen Applaus bitte für unseren Oberbürgermeister Thorsten Burmester und Olympionikin, Ex-Olympionikin Britta Heidemann. Ich einmal Zettel sortieren. So viele Halbzeitsachen haben wir sonst gar nicht, aber wir stehen ja hier für ein ganz, ganz tolles Thema. Lieber Oberbürgermeister, jetzt frage ich mal ganz direkt. Wir mit Köln als Leading City hätten eine große Aufgabe. Was bedeutet das denn für die Stadt? Was macht Köln und die Region eigentlich so zum außergewöhnlichen Standort und als Leading City vor allem? Wir wissen alle, dass wir eine super geile Stadt haben, aber warum denn eigentlich?
Wir haben sportbegeistertes Publikum, wir haben große Sportstätten und deswegen sind wir Kapitän bei dieser Bewerbung zusammen mit 16 anderen Städten. Wir wollen die Olympischen Paralympischen Spiele in die Region holen und eine Chance geben für den Sport, für die Entwicklung in dieser Stadt. Wir haben das Leichtathletikstadion und wir haben temporäres. Wir werden das Olympische und Paralympische Dorf hier bekommen. Insgesamt Impulse für den Sport, die Infrastruktur und die Menschen in unserer Stadt.
Sie haben schon die Impulse im Sport angesprochen. Seit dieser Woche werden die Briefwahlunterlagen verschickt. Wenn wir bis zum 19. April für Ja stimmen und mit Deutschland bzw. sogar dann Köln, Rhein-Ruhr das Ganze bekommen, dann hieße das auch für die Sportförderung in Köln wären diese Olympischen Spiele ein ganz, ganz großer Schub. Wie ist denn der aktuelle Austausch auch mit den FC-Verantwortlichen? Wir haben ja auch hier bei uns ganz viele Pläne in der Infrastruktur. Wie sieht es da aus? Wie sind Sie da aktuell im aktiven Austausch auch für den Breitensport? Was das Ganze nicht nur tolle, große Leichtathletikstadien und große Venues bedeutet, sondern dann tatsächlich auch beim FC oder dem Breitensport. Wie sind Sie da aktuell im Austausch? Speziell mit dem FC, frage ich mal.
Ja, die Spiele sind insgesamt eine Chance auch für die Breitensportvereine, für die Sportstätten in dieser Stadt und deswegen wollen wir den Impuls setzen. Jetzt fließen schon viele Mittel in die Sportstätten und mit dem FC sind wir in einem super Austausch. Ich habe immer gesagt, der FC muss hier am Geisbockheim ausbauen und wir brauchen einfach mehr Plätze. Da sind wir in Gesprächen mit dem Vorstand, mit dem Neuen, mit der Politik. Fakt ist aber auch, wir brauchen eine Mehrheit in dieser Stadt, dass wir hier Plätze für Kinder, Jugendliche und für den Frauenfußball in dieser Stadt haben.
Auch wir haben also große Pläne hier und sind gemeinsam dran, die zu erfüllen. Liebe Britta, du hattest ganz große Pläne und sie haben mehrfach ganz groß funktioniert. Ein Applaus bitte für Ex-Olympionikin Britta Heidemann. 2004, 2008 und 2012 warst du bei den Olympischen Spielen dabei. Du bist Olympiasiegerin und jetzt komme ich einmal zu deiner Linken, damit ich nicht das Mikro vor mir selber habe. Was würden dir Olympische Spiele in Deutschland wahrscheinlich sogar oder bestenfalls sogar in Köln bedeuten? Die blödste Frage vorab.
Ja, Olympische Spiele in Deutschland wären gigantisch. Wir bewerben uns ja schon auf jeden jeden Fall für 36, 40 oder 44. Und wir in Köln-Rhein-Ruhr haben beste Voraussetzungen, auch Olympische Spiele auszurichten. Und das Land NRW hat schon jetzt alleine mit der Bewerbung 1 Milliarde Euro freigesetzt für den Breitensport und die Sportinfrastruktur. Und mein kleiner 5-jähriger Sohn zum Beispiel, der mit dabei ist, der und auch ihr, die hier heute dabei seid, die Jugend, das sind die, die vielleicht auch in 10, 15 Jahren teilnehmen.
So sieht's aus. Du hast schon teilgenommen. Wir hatten aber zum Beispiel, auch in der Stadt kennen wir das mit großen Turnieren. Wir hatten gerade erst die EM vor der Haustüre. Was macht aber gerade Olympia so ganz, ganz besonders?
Ja, Olympische Spiele teilzunehmen, aber auch zuzuschauen, ist das Besonderste, was es wahrscheinlich gibt. Wir haben in NRW die Chance, 14 Millionen Tickets zu verkaufen. Also jeder kann das miterleben. Wir wollen integrative...
Hello and welcome back everyone to the Franz Kremer Stadion. Matchday 20 in the Google Pixel Frauen Bundesliga. Bayern wanting to and now on course to maintain their title charge. They are 3-0 up after a clinical first half performance against FC Koln, who as a result are making a half-time change, and unsurprising to see that they've brought on Marina Hegering. She has been missing in action due to a shoulder injury suffered in the first half of the campaign. So she's entered the fray at half-time. She takes the captain's armband. Koln have defensively done very well against Bayern to limit their threat, but what Bayern have done is when they have created chances, they found the clinical touch to convert them as well. Celine Degen is the player to make way for Hegering as we get the second half underway in the Cathedral City. Bayern back from the international break with a 3-0 win against Hamburg in the DFB Pokal quarter-finals in midweek. They are already 3-0 up here against Koln. And they found an extra gear or two that they never needed to find in midweek to fashion this comfortable 3-0 lead. Now the question, I guess, will be for the league leaders, can they maintain hunger levels in this second half? Or will we see a drop in performance that might make this a more evenly matched encounter? The onus is on Bayern to always act, perform as the favourites. It's what they did in the first half. Pernilla Harder with 2 goals inside 8 minutes. Linda Dahlmann once denied by Irina Fuchs, the Köln goalkeeper, but wasn't to be denied twice. She made it 3-0 before half-time. Bayern could have had more goals. Köln drawing a blank so far, and just one, I wouldn't even qualify it as a half chance, it's more a quarter chance that went the way of their top goal scorer, Sandra Maria Jessen. She did score the opening goal in the reverse fixture in the 5th minute. Bayern went on to win that one 5-1. This game taking on a very different complexion, and that looked to be offside against Caruso, and indeed the flag is up against the Italian. One of the easier decisions to be made this evening.
Wir haben beim FC zur zweiten Halbzeit gewechselt vom Feld mit der Nummer 5, Selina Degen, und neu im Spiel für Sie. Und damit herzlich willkommen zurück, liebe Marina Hegering.
A warm welcome back there for Marina Hegering, as Bayern look for their 4th, and Caruso does not connect cleanly. Otherwise, the opportunity was right there. Marina Hegering, who does have a Bayern past, joining from Wolfsburg in the summer, moving to the Cathedral City. Her leadership qualities so important for them in the first half of the season, and they've been sorely missed, especially in this run of what will now likely be 5 games winless to start the new year. Caroline Simon taking out her former Bayern teammate, Veronika Zawistowska. Koln's fans, they are a wonderfully loyal fan base. They will go through thick and thin, and no one came here with the unrealistic expectations of necessarily being able to thwart Bayern. But there are still positives that I'm sure Britta Carlson would have pointed to, especially in contrast to their 2 games before the international break. Both defeats for Köln against Leverkusen and Union Berlin, both games in which they were quite flat in the first half. They lacked the fight, the passion. They definitely didn't lack those things tonight. But Bayern simply do what Bayern do, which is tap into the quality, which is the level of quality that Köln simply can't boast. While they have added some wonderful experience with the likes of Pauline Bremer, Sandra Maria Jessen, Marina Hegering, there is still a big gap between what Köln's squad are capable of and what Bayern's are. And right now, Bayern producing treble-winning form. This is the defining stage of any season, where every match you feel has the potential to be one that you look back on at the end of the season. Quarter-final against Hamburg was one of them, but Bayern not really facing any challenge from Hamburg. Köln have challenged them more, and yet Bayern might win by a greater margin than they did at the Volksparkstadion. And then, of course, you know, you look at those games against Manchester United in the Women's Champions League quarter-finals. Bayern will be favourites. Manchester United, a side that are building towards a very bright future. And while they did sign Lea Schuller in the winter, the sum of all of Bayern's parts probably better than that of Manchester United's. But Bayern still have a job to do there against the Women's Super League side. Cannot afford to take anything for granted. They can't afford to take anything for granted here in the second half either. Well, Köln making a nuisance of themselves there with Pauline Bremer. Simon will put the ball out of play. Robust challenge on Magdalena Eriksson, but Bremer, that never say die attitude. Let's go back to the Women's Champions League. If Bayern do emerge victorious over the course of 2 legs against Manchester United, they will face the winner of either Real Madrid or Barcelona in the semi-finals. The route to the final is a treacherous one for Jose Barkla and co, but you never know, maybe the narratives might play themselves out. The reunion with Lea Schuller in the quarterfinals with Manchester United, albeit, I guess the question remains whether Lea Schuller will even feature in the starting lineup in either of those 2 games, because she hasn't exactly slotted straight in for Manchester United. But then maybe if Barcelona, who are the favourites against Real Madrid in that all-Spanish tie, do emerge victorious, then there's a chance for Bayern to exact their revenge for that 7-1 defeat suffered earlier this season. Chance to rewrite the wrongs of that encounter. On the other side of the bracket, Wolfsburg facing off against OL Lyon in their quarter-final. Meanwhile, it's an all-women's Super League affair between Arsenal and Chelsea. There at Julia Gwynn on the bench for Bayern, and notice that she doesn't have her football boots on. She is listed amongst the substitutes, but by all accounts she will not be entering this fray, and truth be told, there's no need to. Bayern are cruising at 3-0 up, and there are bigger games to come, and as a result, Jose Barcola does need to manage the minutes of some of his key players, like Julia Gwynn, who was in action with Germany during the international break, the national team captain under Christian Wuk. Simon can't get on the end of that pass from Stanway, but Dunst rescues the situation. Nice 1-2 with Caruso. Offside flag is up against the visitors. They're trying to work it well in tight spaces. You can see there, Koln, with less than 10 minutes in the second half played, readying 2 more changes. Marina Hegering came on at half-time for Selina Degen, hearing that it's going to be Veronika Sawistovska and Paulina Bremer set to make way. It's Adriana Achinska and Carlotta Imping who are ready to come on. Again, Koln continue to try and get stuck in. They're trying to disrupt Bayern's build-up play, but they are playing with a high line, and Bayern are really capitalising on the space, not just in behind, but some of the space is being left in the channels as well. Georgia Stanway tonight with her 9th assist of the season for Harder's first goal. In that particular department, she only trails her Bayern teammate, Clara Bühl, who has 12. Now we get confirmation of that double change. Sawistovska, Bremer come off, Achinska and Imping come on. Sawistovska did not really make the impact that she would have wanted to against her former club. Bremer, in her first start of the new year, unable to add to the goal she scored in back-to-back games before the international break against Leverkusen and Union. Imping, an academy graduate, one of the players that dropped out of the Koln starting lineup compared to that loss to Union before the break. For Koln, this would be a 5th game of 2026 winless, 4 losses in those 5. Fortunately for them, they already have such a wonderful cushion above the relegation battle that they could probably lose every game between now and the end of the season. They still wouldn't even get sucked in anywhere close. Having broken the club record, it would be a shame to end the season on a whimper instead of with some stronger results, as Dunst tried to flick the ball over Hegering, it straight into the face of Marina Hegering. Take a look at this moment. Just catching Hegering. Actually thought it was the ball that got Hegering in the face, but it wasn't. Nothing got her in the face, but the boot to the chest from Dunst, who picks up a yellow card as a result from Angelika Zerder, the referee. 50-50 there to be challenged for, but she had to be careful with the high foot. apologetic to one of the legends of the game in German women's football in modern times, Marina Hegering. Played for Duisburg, Leverkusen, Essen, Bayern, and most recently Wolfsburg in her career before joining Koln. Has, or is completing her coaching badges with an eye to working in football, post-career as well. The fact that she's still got the fight in her at the highest level for a couple more seasons at least. Koln still with just one shot on goal all game. That would probably, if you're of an XG or expected goals education, wouldn't have mustered up more than 0.05 on that particular metric. Bayern, meanwhile, though, still just one shot on goal in this second half themselves. So again, much like they did in the first half, Koln, they're digging in deep, they're limiting Bayern's threat, they're making it very difficult for the Bavarians to carve out chances. Hegering is marshalling the back line a little bit more efficiently than Degen was. Dornhauser running the wrong direction, and Balizaya picks her pocket as a result. Hegering nutmegged by Dunst, but to no effect. Harder now. Wanted an offside call there, the hosts. Harder now, pocket of space. Feiersinger tries to put a challenge in, fails to do so. Harder finds Daumann, deflected, but pace of the ball taken off of it, which favoured Fuchs in the end at her near post. Caruso, early ball, Harder for her hat-trick! Fuchs says no for now. Daumann on the follow-up. Oh, it's another brilliant save by Irina Fuchs. Well, she cannot be blamed for the fact that Bayern are 3-0 up here, but she can be credited for keeping the scoreline respectable with a fine double save there to deny the two goal scorers already this afternoon, Harder and Daumann. Fuchs, the young Swiss shot stopper whose stock continues to rise in the current campaign. Oh, and Harder's going to be denied a hat-trick. That was the chance. She had it. Fuchs with the save, and now Harder is going to be brought off. She might be a little bit disappointed, Pernilla Harder, but then again, happy to sacrifice individual accolades and individual appreciation for the collective cause that Bayern have. And Ariana Caruso joins Harder in coming off. It is Edna Imare and Natalia Padilla-Bidas who come on. Imare, who already has 3 goals in 4 appearances for Bayern, scored with her first touch in the Frauen Bundesliga and scored with virtually her first touch in the DFB Pokal in midweek as well. Looking for Padilla-Bidas. First touches off the bench. Goal scorer in midweek against Hamburg. She got the 3rd. Amani loses out. It was closed down by 3 Koln players. Some of the younger fans at the Franz-Kermer Stadion calling for Koln to score a goal. Let's go FC, score a goal. And while any hopes of a comeback to 3-3 or anything better than that are slim to none, Koln can still at least produce an act of defiance or two. Chinska looking for Sandra Maria Jessen. Jessen with a lot of work to do against Vigorstotich. An Icelandic head-to-head there between the two international teammates who will be well versed in each other's games and preferences. Cross comes to nothing. Again, Koln. A striking part of their performance for all their positives in work off the ball when Bayern have been in possession, which has been the majority of this game. Their work on the ball, especially in the final third, has been a letdown, but maybe now Feiersinger fires wide with a deflection for a corner, but there was a lovely run being made to her right had she fed the ball to, I believe it was, Carlotta Imping. But again, that is now Köln's only second shot of the game. Here we see the double save from Fuchs. This was Harder's hat-trick chance. Would have been her first of the season. Bornen with a really poor clearance, and it forced Fuchs to make another even better save. Corner met by Dunst, back out to Gerhardt. Got to make something of these moments, Köln. Hegering ready to attack. Still not cleared. Britta Carlson will be well aware that games against a team like Bayern will not be the ones that her side are judged on. But it is a bit of an uncomfortable situation to now be 5 games without a victory. Oh, risky touch on the byline, my word. Medea Bidas was so primed to pounce on any loose touch there. Get away with it, but now they play themselves into trouble. Amani. Imade. She was looking to lay it off for Daumann. Didn't quite break the way she wanted it to. Well, they've certainly enjoyed their trip to the Cathedral City. Jessen gives chase, Mahmutovic, no nonsense clearance. Imade doesn't challenge because she was coming from an offside position. Got stuck in afterwards though. kick, so Koln move bodies into the Bayern box. In goes the ball. Eriksson first to it. Agretsch battles on the edge of the area to no avail. Gerhardt wins out against Dahlmann. Vogt to Chinska. Oh, she looked for the killer pass. It goes to Tich with the interception. And Bayern winning almost 66% of the challenges this evening. They've had 608 touches to the 297 of Koln. Dominance across the board for the league leaders. Lack of support. Chinska finds it with Jessen arriving. Gerhardt. It's a good cross, and Vigorsta Tich had to get there. Behind for a corner. Bayern have taken their foot off the pedal a touch. 20 minutes of normal time remaining, and Koln, as a result, are seizing a bit more initiative, but again, it's still slim pickings for them in front of goal, isn't it? Corner, again, it's Vigorsta Tich with the defensive header. So rock solid out the back, isn't she, the Icelandic international? Just an effortless, graceful defender. And now Bayern from the Koln corner. Break down the other end with Dunst. Oh, fire zinger, wow. What a recovery from Laura Feiersinger against her Austrian international teammate, Barbara Dunst. Momentarily, it looked like she was going to have the freedom of the Franz Kremer Stadion. Balizaya thought better of the throw backwards. It's a better one down the line to Imade, who establishes herself against Hegering. Another change for Koln. It's going to be the youngster, Caroline Elsen, coming on. Hearing that it's going to be Sandra Maria Jessen, the top goal scorer, who makes way. Flag up against Linda Dahlmann. So now we will get a nice moment in what has been an unpleasant day at the office for Koln. Sandra Maria Jessen with one of Koln's only 2 shots on goal tonight. She's replaced by Caroline Elson, who comes on at 21 years of age to make her Koln debut. 79 appearances, 10 goals for the reserves for the midfielder. This season, 13 appearances, 2 goals in the Regionalliga West, which is the third tier of women's football, broken down regionally. There is a lengthy list of absentees that Britta Carlsen is contending with, and as a result, this is a nice moment for Elson, who now gets her first touches of a Bundesliga ball. And, well, to be honest, her pass was good, and Dornhauser completely lets her down by letting the ball slip under her foot. Elson on for her first Frauen Bundesliga appearance. Laura Dornhauser is the record holder amongst active Köln players in that particular department. Kind break of the ball to Feiersinger. Into the box it goes, but it was more shot than cross in the end, and I'm not sure that was the intention. Technically, that's Mahmutovic's first save of the game, if I'm not mistaken. Bit of a damning indictment of Köln's attacking performance, but they are not the first team to fall short against Bayern this season or in recent seasons. And while Bayern have moved on to 100 goals in all competitions, 74 in the Frauen Bundesliga, Köln were just 23 across the 19 games before today, and they have drawn 4 blanks already this season. For Bayern, this is now another game, 18 of 19 played, where they've scored 2 or more. 17 of 19 in which they've scored 3 or more. 69 goals in their last 16 games, including tonight. They are averaging 4+, so we're 1 short right now. Köln just wants something to show for their efforts, but they're not going to get it from that. Stanway losing out to Feiersinger. Oh, Caroline Elson. Cheeky nutmeg on Vigorstatich. And Vigorstatich didn't like it, did she? You got to appreciate that. The experienced defender not taking kindly to the cheek of the young striker, Caroline Elson. Was a delightful nutmeg, wasn't it? Over 4,000 in attendance at the Franz-Kremer Stadion this evening. They'd love to see the majority of them, at least, the home side get a goal. Movement in the box. Looks like Gerhardt to swing this one in. It's towards Mahmutovic. It's far too close to the Bayern keeper. Story of the game for Köln in terms of being rather wasteful with the rare opportunities that they have fashioned or been afforded by Bayern. Mentioned the fact that Bayern have scored 100 goals in all competitions. Not the first time they've achieved it in club history. In fact, if you go back over the last decade, they've done it 4 times. In the 2018-19 campaign, they scored 106. In the 21-22 season, it was 116. 22-23, 102, but the club record stands at 121 in all competitions. That was set in the 2020-21 campaign. Got at least one game to go in the DFB Pokal, but the club will be hoping for 2. Got at least 2 more in the Champions League, but the club will be hoping for more, maximum of 5 available in that particular competition. And of course, after tonight, 7 games remaining, because Bayern have a game in hand, 1 postponed against Jena from earlier this year. So if you're doing the quick maths there, a maximum of 14 more games to come. 22 goals needed to break the club record, and based on their current goal-scoring form, you would not doubt it. 82 is their record in the Frauen Bundesliga. They're now 8 short of that tally, as Vanessa Gilles getting ready to come on, as is Laila Portela, young 18-year-old who made her debut for Bayern in midweek against Hamburg. Linda Dahlmann is going to make way, scorer of the 3rd.
In der 80. Spielminute ein weiterer Doppelwechsel für die Bayern. Vom Feld gehen mit der Nummer 10 Linda Dahlmann und mit der Nummer 61 Georgia Stanway. Neues Spiel für die Bayern.
Stanway, the other woman to make way, as Gilles comes on. And fresh from making her Bayern debut in the DFB Pokal, Laila Portela now makes her Frauen Bundesliga debut as well. Under 10 minutes of time remaining in this second half. A sense that Bayern in this second period have pretty much just gone through the motions for the most part. Certainly what happened in midweek in that DFB Pokal quarter-final. Fascinating weekend again in the Google Pixel Frauen Bundesliga, though. Freiburg kicking things off on Friday night with a 2-1 win against Nürnberg. Nürnberg not out of the relegation battle just yet, and Freiburg, you can maybe make an argument, not fully out of the race for a top 3 finish. That's because other results keeping that race wide open, chief amongst them Bremen winning 4-2 against Eintracht Frankfurt. They were 2-0 down in that game, leveled the scores before half-time at 2-2 thanks to a Larissa Mühlhaus double. Included a pretty eye-catching free kick. Went on to win that game, Werder Bremen, so they move within a point of Frankfurt with a game in hand. Hoffenheim beating Essen 4-0 means they actually now occupy 3rd place, 2 points ahead of Frankfurt. No discrepancy in games between those two. And then there was a relegation 6-pointer Hamburg on the back of that defeat to Bayern in the Cup. Went 1-0 down against Karl Zeiss Jena, leveled the scores, then were reduced to 10 women. Held on for a 1-1 draw, a precious point for both. Jena rock bottom on 10 points. Essen 2 points above them, but with a game more played, albeit, let's not forget that Jena's game in hand is against Wolfsburg, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, let me get that right. It was earlier I mentioned the fact that Bayern had a game in hand that was meant to be played against Jena. Let me correct myself. It's not against Jena. It was, of course, the game against Werder Bremen that got postponed due to unplayable conditions in the north. Karl Zeiss Jena's game in hand is against Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg in action right now against Leverkusen on home soil in the final kickoff on match day 20 as Imade goes for goal, but that was always drifting off target. Can tell you though that Wolfsburg already 1-0 up against Leverkusen. Janu Levels scoring in the 5th minute of that game. Big news involving Wolfsburg in the world of women's football here in Germany. Ralf Kellermann, the sporting director, set to leave the club, a man who has really played such a huge role in establishing Wolfsburg at the top of the game and has now seen them usurped by Bayern. He's leaving to join Borussia Dortmund as their sporting director, an up-and-coming project. And even bigger news, Alex Popp announcing the fact that she would be extending her contract with Wolfsburg. She is also set to leave the club to join Borussia Dortmund. Got a wonderful reception at the Signal Iduna Park yesterday. Has signed a 3-year contract until 2029. The hopes are that she can play a big part in Dortmund, climbing into the top tier of German women's football. Looking for Imade, who uses her body well to establish position. Finds Portela, back to Balizaya. Simon, a little too inventive and cheeky with that particular pass. Bayern now just really managing this game, not over-asserting themselves. Koln have shown a little bit more promise going forward in the second half than they did in the first, but then given the low bar set, that was always going to be the case, or at least you hope so. But Bayern once again underlining and proving why so many opposition players, head coaches refer to them playing at a different level. They are irresistible and at times inevitable. At times you feel like the only team that can beat Bayern are Bayern themselves. Bernadette Mani has battled well in midfield in what is her first ever start for Bayern. Valuable option for Barkala, with Oberdorf and Zadrazil still on the long-term absentee list. Carlson after that cheeky nutmeg on Glorious, looking for another dip into her bag of tricks, but not quite as successful on that occasion. Gilles combining with Padilla Bidas. Just lost out in the 50-50, one back by Gilles again, trying to poke the pass through. Fails to do so, fires it. Wins out, Hagering with a flick, forward with a flick. Oh, this is lovely play by Koln momentarily, but just shut down in the end. The tight spaces on this sideline. After Britta Carlson and Koln. Next game on the road against Nuremberg for another home match against Eintracht Frankfurt. But that game against Nuremberg next time out is certainly a valuable opportunity to get back to winning ways and end this, what will now be a 5-game winless streak since they broke the club record for most points picked up in a single season with that 1-0 win against Freiburg at the start of 2026. Of time added on at the end of the second half, the same way we had 3 at the end of the first. Bayern wouldn't say no to a 4th goal, but they haven't really forced the issue looking for it, have they? Teased in by Simon and Fuchs. 2 gloves to the ball. Biggest moment of the second half was that double save by the young Swiss shot stopper Irina Fuchs. First denying Harder her hat-trick and then a follow-up effort from Linda Dahm, and the other goal scorer this evening. An even better save the second time around. Beyond that, truth be told, we really have been shorn of highlights in this second half. For the most part, down to the fact that Bayern have really shut down the game. Another one of those matches, though, where you go back to that quote from Jose Barcola when he took charge and demanding that Bayern acquit themselves as Champions League winners at all times. And first half performance certainly worthy of Champions League winners, but you can make the argument that Champions League winners would have then found another goal or 2 in the second half as well against a team that were already beaten. Bayern fans still bouncing. Their team on course to make it wins and a near flawless season. This would be their 35th game in the league unbeaten since their defeat to Wolfsburg back in October of 2024. Since then, 32 wins, including tonight's 3 draws. Still 9 goals short of equaling the league's all-time and their record of 44 games without defeat that was set before that loss to Wolfsburg. That is now 17 months ago, if I'm doing the quick maths in my head correctly. Almost a year and a half without suffering defeat. Not just in the league, but domestically as well, because of course, flawless record in the cup competitions in recent years. A prompt end to proceedings at the Franz Kremer Stadion, but a game that was won at half-time. Bayern were 3-0 up And while they had chances to extend their lead in the second, Irina Fuchs, the Koln keeper, made a couple of commendable saves to keep the scoreline respectable. Bayern's march towards a fourth straight Frauen-Bundesliga Meisterschale continues, though, as they win 3-0 in the Cathedral City. But Bayern did all the damage in the first half, no doubt. Pernilla Harder with a brace. Denied a chance at a hat-trick after being brought off in the second half. Linda Dahlmann with the only other goal of the game. Bayern certainly have bigger tasks ahead. Next up, they're away from home against the team they will face in the DFB Pokal semi-finals, SGS Essen, before that first leg of their Champions League quarter-final against Manchester United. This game and the one against Essen, it's all about maintaining momentum. It's all about building for that first leg. But the warm-up's going well so far. And Bayern thriving in all three competitions in Jose Barcola's debut season on the hot seat. And today, Irina Fuchs can take credit for her involvement, but Koln falling short against the league leaders. They might be one of the most improved sides this season, but it's another thing to then take a share of the spoils against Bayern, who make it 16 wins from 16 against the Cathedral City side in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Tonight, this result never beyond doubt at half-time. James Thorogood, your match commentator, thank you for joining. We'll be back again next weekend for match day 21 in the Frauen-Bundesliga. For now, Bayern will be maintaining their wonderful cushion at the summit. Good night.
Ich steig noch einmal in die Hallen, ich geh noch einmal Richtung Süden, ich atme dich ein. Die ganzen Lichter
The goal scorer, Janu Levels, can't quite keep that in play. It's her goal which separates the two sides. Some concern for Leverkusen. Laureen Bender needs some treatment. Opportunity for both sides to take some refreshment. 4 goals this season for the 20-year-old in 15 appearances. Leverkusen won't want to lose her. She injured herself going for the ball. Twisted knee, caught in the grass. Real concern for Leverkusen. Won't want to lose Lorraine Bender. Looks to have been given a tablet to take. Given away by Bergsvand. She's able to clear up the danger for the moment. Bender okay to continue. Wolfsburg will break. Pedamores tries to find Svenja Hoot. Some space here now for Lorraine Bender. Takes her first time shot. Always rising over. She does have the quality, a decent right foot. Couldn't keep that on target. That tablet that she's just taken almost working instantly. Strong challenge comes in from Lila Turiani, the Hungarian defender, on Alex Pop. Justine, is Alex Pop. Prostrate for a few seconds on the ground. Felt the full force of the Hungarian defender there. She will remember that one for the rest of the game. Good feet by Fudala, and now has sent